So today we're discussing attachment styles. And obviously that's a huge buzz in the world. Lots of people are interested in knowing their own attachment styles, learning their partner styles. You know, it's been such a hot topic for a while. But I think one of the biggest deficits in the discussion is that people don't really understand the formation or the origin of how their attachment style came to be or the why behind their attachment style. And so I'm really hoping that we can discuss that and process that together around really how that came to be.
Gotcha. Okay. So attachment is basically a measure of safety and security, both in an infant, in a child, in an adolescent, in an adult. It's not about love. It's not a personality formation. It is an adaptation to one's, say, family culture, the way the family operates, which is handed down from generation to generation. And we could think of it as either a hyper focus on the self as a parenting style, or a focus on relationship. So we might think of secure attachment. The culture focuses on relationship more than the self, more than performance, more than appearance. No matter what, your relationship with me is more important than your achievements, even though I do have high expectations of you, but I also provide a lot of support, right? Now let's go left, or let's go left of center there, where you feel secure. Oh, let me also say that in insecure attachment, the parent or caregiver is consistent, is resourced internally and externally, so is able to focus on the infant, be present, attentive over long spans of time, be able to be face to face, eye to eye, skin to skin, and to be curious. We expect that a caregiver has a theory of mind, the ability to be curious about their own mind, which extends to then to the baby, curious about the baby's mind, and is locating the baby constantly by making errors. So I'm attuning to you, and then I misattune, and then I reattune, and then I misattune, and then I reattune, right? So it's my responsibility to find you, not for you to find me. And so in the first year, we have a saying, the first year, the baby leads and the caregiver follows. But then you can't tell who's leading and following once that dyad begins to interact. So those are the conditions. I'm interested in you, and I have patience. I'm able to locate you again and again and again as necessary. And that is a necessary condition for secure attachment. You were going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, in the way that I understand it, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, is, you know, a caregiver that creates an environment that's dependable and reliable, and that child in infancy, you know, through time, their needs are met. Maybe not perfectly, but on more often than not, their emotional, their psychological, their physical, their cognitive, spiritual needs are met in the process of development. Is that accurate?
Yes, although you might think of the environment as the intersubjective field between caregiver and baby. So it is the relationship that is the environment here. The environment could be chaotic, but if the relationship is consistent, if the relationship is felt by the infant, we can see behaviors that show otherwise, felt by the infant to be safe and secure, a secure base, as John Bowlby called it, then that supersedes any other aspects in the environment that are maybe not calm, maybe not consistent, right?
So that's really fascinating. So like the environment could be chaotic or disruptive, but as long as the energetic connection between caregiver and child has stability and dependability and that reliability, that can still produce secure attachment.
Yes, otherwise we wouldn't have people from war-torn areas, children raised during that time end up being secure. Why are they secure? They may have PTSD, but they're secure because of their relationship bond with their most important primary attachment figures. So that insulates the infant, insulates the child. So yeah, otherwise we'd all be, anybody in Ukraine now would be insecure, but that we know that's not so, right? That's not so, right? So the environment here is the relational orbit of the primary figures, right? The caregiver and the infant.
Yeah, it's fascinating because I hear so often, people believing that attachment style has just equally as much to do with the environment and that it must have been this calm, peaceful, non-chaotic atmosphere. But just from what you said, that doesn't need to be the case. I think that's a really important point.
No, you have secure attachment in Mediterranean countries where people, it's common that family members yell at each other all the time.
Right.
And they're fine. They're not traumatized by it.
Right.
Because it is not deemed as unsafe. It's not a dangerous environment to somebody who came from a very quiet, maybe milquetoast family culture would find it alarming, right? Because they're not used to it. But if you are raised in that, and there's enough, there are enough signs of love and making amends and connection, kids acclimate. And again, this is the felt sense of the infant. There are things at work here that are phenomenological that can't be explained away simply by the caregiver. For instance, the internal systems, biology of the infant. Let's say an infant is constantly in pain because of GERD or some other malady. The baby can't be calmed very well, and this can cause certain problems. The caregiver, no fault of their own, is dealing with a baby that is in pain. And so, Melanie Klein, going back to Melanie Klein, would consider this a problem where the infant is feeling persecuted by internal sensations, right, that are painful, and then will blame the object, whether it's the breast or the whole person, right, as being because there's no separation between object and self. But that aside, we don't know exactly, although Daniel Stern did quite a bit through digital frame analysis of studying what it is from the infant's point of view, the first time that had been done, what it would be like to be the infant, what that world would be like if one put themselves in that infant's place. So we constantly try to understand what it feels like to be the infant, through all different measures, all different means. But there's, will we ever really know? I don't know. So secure attachment is measured thus far by the interactions between the infant and the caregiver as captured by the strange situation. Ainsworth.
Right. So in Shit Talking Shrinks, we're about tangible tools. So if you could give our listeners 3 tangible tools around how to navigate attachment or connection, we'd love that. I'd
like to go bigger, just in line with my rant, because you got me excited there. Well, because I just started realizing more and more why this upsets me. The focus. If you are not yet in a relationship, write down what your perfect relationship would be with person X. Don't imagine a person, imagine the relationship and a person wanting the same thing that you want and willing to do the same thing to get what you both want, right? Start with safety and security, right? We tell each other everything. We're fully transparent with each other. Why? Because the left and right hand needs to know the same thing, and we're working as a team. We're an awesome team. We need to know the same things, and discovery's a bitch. We put the relationship first above all things because we're going to be at the top of the food chain, and it's going to be up to us to handle everyone and everything. Therefore, we have to come first, because if we go down, everyone else is screwed, right? Including our kids. So you start to think about what would be the guiding principles of this relationship that would make it awesome. Set the bar as high as you want, but it's what we will do, not what I will do or what you will do. We do this, right? We show affection, admiration, appreciation for each other each day, every day, the way the other person wants it. That can be done. It shall be done. Do we do it when we're angry with each other? You bet. Because purpose-centered principles have to be done, not based on feeling, because we decided it must be done. We want a bitch in life. Sorry, I'm from the 60s. So you know what I'm saying? So focus on the perfect relationship, not the perfect person. And find out whether these people for real want the same things. Vet your partner around with everyone. Ask your peeps, look at me. Do you like how I am with this person? Do I see myself? Do you like this person? Do you like us together? Do we seem like the real deal? Things like that. That's really important.
Tip number 2.
If you're in a relationship, now is the time to start talking with your partner. Did we build this thing together, or are we flying a half-built plane? Did we actually co-create our own relationship, or are we being run by other people and other ideas from far ago? That's most people. We're operating automatically according to our earliest relationships without even thinking about it. How are we going to handle each other when we're misbehaving? Let's come up with a principle that we both agree with that will keep each other in line and make it enforceable, with the understanding that when enforced, we both have to cooperate immediately. That is good business, right? That's assuming that love will not will out, that we're human beings. We're planning on our devils, not our angels. Plan for your devils and put that in place. That's the safety and security system, right? Don't wait for that to happen. So, and then I'll leave you with one other thing that's related. If you're a couple, always think of PEPPER. It's a anagram, PEPPER. Predict, plan, prepare, and be ready to revise every event before you go. Just before you go and take your parents out to dinner, before you have a sit down with your kids, before you go on that trip, before you go to Easter dinner, whatever it is. Predict, plan first. You and I are going to have a great time. We're going to assure that we come first, other people second. That's how we're going to take care of everyone. You and I comes first. We're going to have an awesome time. By the end of that we're going to high five each other because we did great as a team. Now we think, what could possibly go wrong? We go one by one and predict each other, and we put things in place to prevent each other from ruining our time. We start to predict drunk Uncle Bob and the brat that always disrupts our kids. We're going to plan and prepare for that so that nobody is harmed. Everyone's taken care of, but we are running the show, even though we're the invitees. So that everywhere we go, we don't walk in unprepared, right? We don't do that.
It's almost like, if you're walking into a fire, you better have your gear.
And you better be practiced. Because when you go live, it's going to be a shit show.
Right.
And that's another thing people don't do. They don't predict each other. I walk into the same thing with you every time. because I don't predict you and I don't plan on what I'm going to do if you do this, right? What will I do if you do that? I should know by now. I'm an idiot if I don't, right? I get a dog, and every time I approach on the left, I get bit, and I keep approaching on the left. Who's the idiot? So this is the human condition. We're lazy creatures. We're entitled creatures. We want other people to do what we don't think we should have to do in return. That's the nature of being human, and that's what we got to start to grow up and know and prepare for.